Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling something pretty much every development team on the planet struggles with at some point, transforming a completely chaotic development cycle into a smooth, predictable delivery pipeline. We're going to explore exactly how you can master your workflow using Azure Boards.
Seriously, think about it. How do you track a brilliant idea from a simple back-of-the-napkin concept all the way to deployed code without completely losing your mind? It is a universal pain point, right? You're losing track of work, doing endless context switching, jumping between disjointed tools. Well, Azure Boards is designed to be the ultimate cure for that chaos. It basically acts as the centralized nervous system for your entire development lifecycle. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the core, work items. Second, visualizing that flow with Kanban boards. Third, connecting code via GitHub. And finally, automating DevOps best practices.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the core, work items. What's really fascinating to me is just how simple yet incredibly powerful a work item actually is. It's essentially a database record in Azure Boards that represents a single unit of work. So whether you've got a brand new feature to build, a nasty bug to fix, a daily task to complete, or even just a risk you need to track, the work item acts as your absolute single source of truth. It captures all the planning details, who owns it, the discussions around it, and the entire history of the work being done.
Now, you know different teams love to throw around different jargon, but Azure Boards adapts to that seamlessly. Whether you use the Agile process and call it a user story, you use Scrum and call it a product backlog item, or you're using CMMI and calling it a requirement, it's all the exact same core concept representing customer value. So definitely don't let the terminology trip you up here.
These atomic units stack up into a really clear hierarchy. You've got epics at the very top for your largest grand-scale scenarios. Those break down into features. Features then group together your requirements or user stories, and then those break down even further into actionable tasks. But here is a critical tip, straight from the source material: keep this hierarchy strictly parent to child across the different types. You want to avoid nesting a story under a story or a task under a task, because if you create those same type hierarchies, the actual items you need to work on, the leaf nodes, can easily get lost in the shuffle and they just won't display properly on your boards.
If we look at the Agile process as an example, you can literally watch the work progress cleanly, from new to active to resolved and finally to closed. It is a super clear state progression from inception to completion, which means everyone on your team knows exactly where a piece of work stands at any given second.
Moving right along to Section 2, visualizing flow with Kanban boards. Okay, let's unpack this distinction because it is a very common area of confusion. Kanban boards track your overall requirements and the general flow of value, and they do this completely independent of any sprint cadence. Task boards, on the flip side, are strictly sprint scoped. They are just there to track the specific, actionable tasks defined for a set iteration capacity. So, the easiest way to think about it, the Kanban board is this continuous river of work, and the task board is just the bucket you use to draw from it for your current sprint.
Now, if you really want to master this flow, you absolutely have to understand WIP limits, or work in progress limits. This is simply a constraint applied to a workflow stage to prevent bottlenecks. Why is this so crucial? Well, WIP limits act exactly like physical space on a factory assembly line. By capping the amount of work allowed in a specific stage, it quite literally forces teams to stop starting new things and start finishing the things they already have in progress. It drastically cuts down on context switching, which, as we all know, absolutely destroys productivity.
To really own that flow, you can customize the heck out of these boards. You can use split columns to implement a true pull mechanism. So instead of just blindly pushing work forward, you clearly see what is just sitting there, idle, waiting to be pulled into the next stage. Swimlanes are great because they let you fast-track different classes of service, like those critical midnight hotfixes. And then you have flow metrics. Cycle time measures exactly how long an item takes from the second it enters in progress to being completed. Add in the cumulative flow diagram, or CFD, and you get this incredibly powerful visual of your progress and your bottlenecks over time. You are effectively measuring the exact speed and health of your assembly belt.
Next up is Section 3, connecting code via GitHub.
The really big takeaway here is scale. Get this, Azure DevOps Services lets you connect up to 2,000 GitHub repos per project connection. 2,000! So whether you're living on GitHub.com or using GitHub Enterprise Server, Azure Boards handles massive scale effortlessly, letting you centralize all your project planning while keeping your code exactly where it belongs.
So why does linking 2,000 repos actually matter?
One word: traceability. By using the Azure Boards app for GitHub, you link your code activity directly to your work items. The development control panel right there inside the work item form bridges that massive gap between project management and engineering. When you look at a user story, you aren't just seeing a text description. You are seeing the exact branches, the specific commits, and the associated pull requests. It completely removes the guesswork of, hey, where's the code for this feature?
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 4, Automating DevOps Best Practices.
Let's pick up the pace a bit here. When we talk about DevOps on Azure, the name of the game is automating literally everything. Step 1, environment provisioning. By leveraging things like ARM templates or Terraform, you treat your infrastructure as code, which guarantees consistent, repeatable environments. Step 2, continuous testing. Integrating automated tests early on means you catch and fix issues immediately. And Step 3, progressive promotion. Systematically and safely moving your artifacts through dev, staging, and finally into production. Automating this whole pipeline eliminates human error and vastly accelerates your delivery cycles.
But here's the thing you have to remember. All these highly technical steps, they ultimately just feed into the core human-centric tenets of DevOps on Azure. You still need to structure your work with crystal clear sprint goals. You have to optimize capacity so you don't burn your engineering team to the ground. You need to enable that end-to-end traceability we just covered. And above all, prioritize continuous improvement through really thorough retrospectives. All these shiny tools exist for one reason: to serve these human practices.
So consider these your absolute marching orders. Automate relentlessly. Just eliminate manual processes wherever you can with comprehensive CI/CD pipelines. Secure continuously by baking security testing directly into your workflow from day one. And monitor proactively so you actually have the visibility to respond quickly when things go sideways. The best advice? Start small, but iterate rapidly to scale up your DevOps maturity.
I'm going to leave you with this one thought to chew on. Are you just pushing work blindly, or are you truly mastering your flow? By leveraging the structured power of Azure Boards, setting those crucial WIP limits, integrating deeply with GitHub, and embracing DevOps automation, you can absolutely transform a chaotic development cycle into a smooth, predictable engine of innovation. Take a hard look at your current processes today and ask yourself how you can start mastering your flow. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer.